Welcome back to English from A to Z, English in real life. Today, we're going to tackle one of the biggest, most frustrating challenges for pretty much any English learner, listening. Actually understanding what people are saying. But what if I told you the secret to getting better wasn't about studying harder at all? What if it was about finding a method so simple, so effective, that it doesn't even feel like you're studying? Well, that's exactly what we're going to dive into. So let's start with the big question, right? Why do so many of us try so hard to get better at understanding spoken English, but we get stuck? You've probably felt this. I know I have. You practice, you do the exercises, but the progress just feels incredibly slow. Or maybe it doesn't feel like it's happening at all. It's a super common problem. But the reason for it, it's actually surprisingly simple. And here it is. This is the whole secret. The number one reason people fail isn't because they're not trying hard enough or they're not smart enough. It's because the methods they're using are just plain inconvenient. They're not designed for real life for people with jobs, families, and busy schedules. And as we're about to see, when it comes to a skill like listening, if it's not convenient, you're not going to stick with it. And that brings us to what I like to call the listening improvement trap. You know this cycle, right? You get excited about some new, intense method, you go all in, and then you get overwhelmed, you quit, and you feel like you failed. But here's the thing, you didn't fail. The method failed you. So let's break down exactly why these traditional approaches are basically designed to fail from the start.
Okay, this is the absolute key right here. Improving your listening skills is a marathon, not a sprint. It takes a long time. We're talking hundreds, even thousands of hours of just hearing the language. So, if your daily practice method is inconvenient, if it feels like a chore you have to force yourself to do, you are setting yourself up to quit. It's almost inevitable. The sheer effort of trying to keep up will burn you out way before you ever see real results. And believe me, I am speaking from painful personal experience. I fell right into this trap. I tried that old method of watching the same movie over and over again. First with subtitles, then without. And I've got to be honest with you, it was so boring. Mind-numbingly boring. I think I made it through the movie maybe 4 times before I just said I can't do this anymore, and I quit. I totally felt like a failure, but really, the method was just terrible.
My little movie experiment is a perfect example of these kinds of inconvenient methods. Things like watching the same thing until you're completely sick of it. Or that classic exercise from school, listen to a recording and then write down every single word. Ugh. It turns learning into this exhausting homework assignment. Basically, any method that feels like tedious work and, most importantly, eats up all your precious free time is just not going to last. So, here it is. This is the simple, powerful truth. If you want to succeed where so many others, including me, have given up, you have to flip the script. Your method, whatever it is, absolutely must be convenient. It has to be so easy to do that it just slots right into your existing life, instead of feeling like this big thing you have to make time for. So how do we actually do that? How do we build a habit around convenience? Well, I want to share with you what is, hands down, the most effective way I have ever found to improve listening skills. I call it the zero extra time method, because that's exactly what it is. It's a way to get powerful improvement without needing a single extra minute from your already busy day. And the method itself, it is so simple. It's literally just 2 steps. Step 1, you download a whole bunch of authentic listening material, like real conversations, onto your phone. We'll talk about what kind in just a second. And then step 2, and this is the secret sauce, you listen to it only when you're already doing something else that doesn't need your full brain power. That's it. That's the whole method. Now, for that first step, the kind of stuff you listen to is super important. You want to find things where people are just talking. Natural, real, unscripted conversations. This is key because it gets your ears used to the common, everyday words and rhythms people actually use, not the perfect, polished, and sometimes kind of weird dialogue you hear in movies. So let's put a real definition on this. The zero extra time method is simply the practice of using all those little pockets of dead time you already have in your day. Think about it. Your commute to work or school, your time at the gym, doing chores around the house, waiting in line at the store. All that time, instead of just being wasted, becomes your English practice time, effortlessly. And this is the beautiful, simple logic that makes it all work. Because the method is so ridiculously convenient, it becomes easy to be consistent. You're not trying to find a new hour in your schedule to study. You're just changing what you do with the time you're already spending. And that consistency, day after day, week after week, is what leads to real, noticeable improvement.
Okay, now I want to show you something that might actually shock you. To really see how powerful this is, let's do a direct head-to-head comparison with one of those old, inconvenient methods we talked about, like watching movies. Seriously, get ready for this, because the numbers are pretty wild. All right, first, let's just look at the raw listening time you get in a year. On the left, if you use this technique for just 30 minutes a day, that adds up to almost 11,000 minutes of listening. Not bad. Now, on the right, if you watch, say, 4 movies a week, you get around 10,400 minutes. So at a quick glance, you'd say, hey, that's pretty much the same. But, and this is a huge but, this is only half the story. And here is the other half. Look at the cost. Look at what it costs you in your personal time. With our convenient method, the amount of extra free time you spend is a big fat zero. Zilch. Nothing. But to get that same amount of listening time from movies, you have to sacrifice a staggering 20,800 minutes of your free time sitting on the couch. The difference is absolutely massive. Let's just let that number sink in for a second. 20,800 minutes. That is how much of your life this method gives back to you every single year compared to that movie technique. To put that in perspective, that's more than 340 hours. I mean, think about that. What could you do with an extra 340 hours a year? This isn't just about learning English anymore. It's about reclaiming your life.
So let's talk about what this means for you starting right now. By adopting this really simple system, you're not just practicing a skill, you are building a powerful, sustainable new habit. A habit that works for you, that fits into your schedule, and that gives you back your most valuable resource, which is your time. Now, I have to repeat something really important. This is still a long-term process, okay? You're not going to wake up fluent tomorrow. But the key is to just be patient. And this technique makes being patient easy because it doesn't require all this effort and willpower every single day. So with a little patience and this incredibly convenient technique, success isn't just possible, it's pretty much inevitable. So I'll just leave you with this one last thought to chew on. If you started doing this today and you got back over 20,000 minutes this year, what would you do with all that extra time? Would you finally start practicing your speaking? Read more? Maybe just relax? The possibilities are pretty much endless when you finally choose a method that doesn't steal your life but actually gives it back to you.